again. I don't know if my connection has really been revived, but in the case that it is, maybe someone will tune in momentarily and let me know if you can actually see me, if you can actually hear me. I am on Istiklal Avenue. We've got a helicopter hovering overhead. Police line to the side of me. I'll flip the camera around. Police line over there. I was past this point earlier where I could see ambulances coming and going, but the police line has moved farther in this direction, heading down the hill on Istiklal. I see that someone's tuned in now. Can you let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me? It appears that certain social media may be getting throttled here. So if you could, please let me know if you can see me, if you can hear me. I was streaming very briefly earlier, but the connection dropped off. And it seemed like, okay, Brock is saying it's sounding great. All right, thank you very much, Brock. It seemed as though when I was streaming earlier that the connection not only to my stream had gone down, but potentially certain social media here getting throttled, which I don't know if that happening with YouTube previously, but that's happened in the past with certain events in Turkey on Twitter. Unfortunately, I have at this point read a tweet coming from Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu that's indicated there were deaths, or there have been deaths. As it was previously, I can't confirm any casualties, but a brief check of the mayor's Twitter, and about a half hour ago, it looked like he tweeted without really specifying how many or the extent of the casualties, but I believe he tweeted that he's mourning the deaths of people on Istiklal. So there was an explosion. I think it was somewhere around 4 o'clock local time, maybe between 4 and 4:30. And I saw some initial footage that had surfaced. I could see in one video clip, or I could hear an explosion in one video clip. And it looked like there was some footage of wounded people. All I can tell you really firsthand is that aside from showing you what I'm looking at, and what I have been looking at for much of the past hour or so, is that I have seen, aside from heavy police presence, I have seen ambulances coming and going from the area. For those who aren't aware, as I was starting to get into on the previous stream, Istiklal is not just Istanbul, but Turkey's foremost pedestrian street. It is one of the most famous pedestrian streets in the world. Very busy place. Many people walking up and down Istiklal every day. Lots of shops and big brands here. Restaurants, cafes, bars, you name it. We're right in the city center on the European side. Istiklal connects to Taksim Square, which is basically the central square of Istanbul on the European side. I was starting to, and maybe it's not even worth bringing up, but I was starting to, in the previous stream, recollect a bit on what hasn't been happening in Istanbul. Okay, can someone please let me know if we're live? I had to reboot, but it seems as though I'm live again. So if anyone could let me know if you can see me, or excuse me, I've got the camera flipped around. I guess now maybe you could see me, but I'm not gonna focus on myself. Okay, thank you GKR saying yeah, we're live. Yeah, we're live. I'm sorry that's a bit choppy, but I do think to some extent, and I can't tell you exactly why, but certain social media seems to be getting throttled around here. So going back to 2016 especially, but there are other years in Turkey as well when unfortunately terror attacks in the major population centers like Istanbul and Ankara had become the norm, with back then the PKK and ISIS being largely responsible for them. PKK being the Kurdistan Workers' Party. That's a Kurdish militant group that's pretty much been at war with the Turkish government for decades. Again, I can't even confirm to you that this is a terror attack, and I don't know who and or what caused the explosion, but I just wanted to bring up the point that as someone who's spent a lot of time, hi Polly, thank you for tuning in. As someone who spent a lot of time in recent years in Istanbul, I was very recently remarking to friends that I don't know if I should even describe it as that, but it's been quite calm lately. It's not been at all like certain times in the past where there were frequent terror attacks in the city and all around the country. So this problem, I shouldn't even say this problem, but there were certain times, including times I've been here in the past, where it wouldn't be too uncommon for there to be an explosion going off in Istanbul or Ankara or other major population centers, definitely in the southeast, every month or so, sometimes a little more frequent, of course less frequent at times. Polly's asking, NATO fed up with Erdogan's relations to Russia. I can't jump to any conclusions or even speculate that there's any connection with that. There's a long history of terror attacks in Turkey. Again, I can't confirm that this actually is a terror attack. Pretty much the only confirmation I've seen so far is that Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu tweeted out a little while ago that he was mourning the dead. So, according to that account, I guess there are multiple deaths. Another helicopter. Usually they're circling above. This one's just kind of flying right over Istiklal. It's right above my head. By all indications, there are people wounded. I saw ambulances coming and going from the scene. I arrived not exactly at the scene, but as close as I could get until I hit the first police line, which was closer to the scene than where the police line is now. But yeah, there were ambulances coming and going. GKR is saying 4 dead now, according to the Istanbul mayor. Okay, thank you for sharing what updates you've got. Helicopters circling overhead. Could see police cars coming and going frequently about an hour ago. Less than that also. I think the explosion happened somewhere around in the 4 to 4:30 time frame, and I wasn't right here on Istiklal, but I was walking distance. So I got up to the police line down the hill slightly on Istiklal from where the incident took place, maybe 45 minutes or an hour or something like that after the explosion went off. Good to see you, Polly, as well. Unfortunately, these are the conditions in which I'm streaming. You want to say anything? The light just went on here.
Hello.
Annabelle's joining me. Well, you've been here the whole time.
Yes.
Helping out.
It's a scary situation. Apparently people died. This is a very, very busy street here. Lots of people are shopping. It's packed. There are lots of international stores like Mango, Zara. They're all closed down early. Then the police pushed everybody further away from the scene where the explosion happened. It's a scary scenario.
For a while, you noted that Mango, whatever, and Zara had closed or were closing. For a while, when we were first arriving here, it looked like most places were staying open, or at least they were still open at the time. But we're right across from Zara, coincidentally. And now someone entering there? No, it's just the lights are on. I'll flip that around. I noticed right away that the doors were shut and it looked as though Zara was closed, even though the lights are on, before other places. But since then, as we've been here over the past hour, we've seen shops closing, a big Turkcell store. We saw that closing down.
And helicopters circling constantly around.
I've been in Istanbul before when there have been minor terror attacks. I haven't been in Istanbul on a day in which there's been a major terror attack, and again, I can't even confirm that this is a terror attack. But what I'd say is that you have such a huge city. It's a city that spans 2 continents, and there's a population of upwards of 20 million. I can say, having been here before when there's chaotic situations, it's often as if the chaos is only isolated to a really tiny area with respect to the whole size of the city. So
the street here, still lots of people walking around. Usually the stores here close around 11 p.m.
Well, there are a lot of bars and stuff, so like some places are open here till 4 or 5 a.m. But yeah, none of the stores are.
But it's not deserted here. You can see here still lots of people.
And I think in general, a lot of people are, especially if they're not. We don't know exactly what happened, but I think a lot of people in Istanbul and Turkey are able to remain relatively calm in situations like this, where there might be more panic in, say, a more western city if something like this took place. The Dosho is asking, the people aren't concerned with the explosion. Well, it's interesting because we were very close to the scene. We're not right at the scene, but
I don't know if everybody even knows about the explosion. Only a part of this long shopping district is closed.
That was one of the things that I was going to say, that like minutes after it took place, it looked like there were a lot of people walking nearby who had no idea that there was an explosion. But I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that at this point, there have been certain access routes to Istiklal that have been cut off. I can't confirm that, but I'm sure there's a police line on the other side of the scene, which is on the Taksim Square side. And there might be access routes down the hill or to the side from here that have been cut off. Because right now, it may look like to you in the audience that, okay, there are people walking around here, but for this time of day, Istiklal is borderline deserted. I've seen Istiklal essentially deserted back when the lockdown or lockdowns were taking place here. But on a day like this, at this hour, Istiklal shouldn't... Oh, this is a Turk Telecom? This is a tiny Turk Telecom. Maybe it's not an official Turk Telecom. Yeah, it shouldn't be this quiet, this empty. I'd say it's eerily quiet right now, even though at times it's not with the helicopter noise. I'm gonna see if I missed anything in the chat. Thank you everyone for tuning in. You're welcome, Davey Boy, that I'm covering it. Clifford, thank you for tuning in. Like Polly says, and Polly says hi, Annabelle.
Hi, Polly.
Like Polly says, it's a tragedy for Istanbul, and it's unfortunate that this is what I'm covering after not being around, at least in the YouTube space, for a while. Let's maybe just walk one more time briefly in the direction of the scene, and then we'll probably walk off in the opposite direction.
There's police to the left and to the right.
If you didn't hear that, Annabelle said police to the left and to the right. This is basically a police station right here. There are always police here, but the police activity at this moment it's way bigger than normal. And there's, I don't know what agency they're with, but there's basically military style police. GKR is saying Erdogan just said 6 dead, 53 injured. If that is the case, that is extremely tragic, and I'm very sorry to hear that. Can you check if you can see if there are reports that Erdogan indeed said that? Klaus Schwab is tuned in. I know this isn't the actual Klaus Schwab. Says Kurds or ISIS will get the blame anyway. I can't jump to any conclusions, but I did a few minutes ago address that going back several years, there were quite a few terror attacks in this country, some of which took place in this city that were tied to the PKK or offshoot groups of the PKK and or ISIS. As I was saying moments ago, this little enclosed area with the white buses, there normally are police there, or at least police vehicles and a minor police presence. That is normally the case on Istiklal, but there's, oh my god, that's horrible. That is really horrible. Oh, that is really horrible. A man is showing me footage that I'm not going to put on here. Horrible. Yeah. My prayers. Teşekkürler. Romy, look at the footage. He has really horrible footage. A man here is showing me really bad footage that I'm not going to put on. You're the real Klaus. Eat more bugs. We can talk about that later. Not going to really delve into jokes at the moment. There's a cat that's just like so typical Istanbul right there. A cat running by, running out of the way as emergency vehicles are trying to pull through here. From the images I've seen, I can't confirm their authenticity, but if they're authentic, it looks terribly tragic. Have you seen anything that's come from Erdogan?
No.
It's
Not on his Twitter.
probably a statement to Turkish media, but it's okay. Yeah, Mr. WF Chairman, I guess I'll address you as that. I did see some horrific clips being shared in the very immediate aftermath of the attack, but I didn't get such a long look at them. Just now a man standing here was showing me some longer clips that look terribly horrific. I can't confirm the authenticity, but by all indications, there's a major tragedy here. I'm hearing some Russian being spoken right beside me. Lots and lots of Russians in Istanbul and Turkey in general in this day and age. Ambulance coming through, leaving the scene. I'm not aware of there having been a protest on Istiklal today. There have been occasions in the past in which rallies or demonstrations in Turkey have been targeted, and that has occurred in the past, but I don't see any indication that that's what happened today. As you said, or I guess you were asking, like, was it more of just a normal shopping day?
Riot.
I think so. It's a Sunday. It's happened Sunday afternoon. Pretty good weather for November here. Not amazing weather, but pretty good. A lot of people would typically be out walking on Istiklal, shopping, walking, being seen, dining, etc. at the time when this all took place. It's dark now, but it wasn't dark when the explosion occurred. Okay, interesting. I don't know if you can check any of this. Mr. WF chairman says a pre-explosion clip looks like a slow-moving rally all heading the same direction. I don't know, is the short of it. There are often people on Istiklal, maybe they're not protesting, but they're walking up and down, chanting some things. There's just all kinds of action all the time on Istiklal. Drum circles, street parties,
Nightlife.
on election nights, definitely political activity. I haven't seen any of these clips yet. But again, like, I remember clearly when when a terror attack occurred at a demonstration in Ankara several years ago. I think that was in 2016, when there was the most carnage in this country in recent years. Someone could fact check that. Can you hold it for a second? Chime in with anything you have to say. Annabelle is the camera. I'm still here. Annabelle's just panning and showing you some of this. Again, this is not the exact scene. This is as close as we can get to the exact scene from the lower portion of Istiklal. Istiklal is on a hill. It slopes up toward Taksim Square, and down toward the Galata Bridge and the Golden Horn. We're on what you might call the lower side of Istiklal, at least with respect to the exact scene. But we're not very far away from the exact scene. And when we started the first live stream that got aborted, at that point we were even closer to the exact scene. Pardon? Tamam.
Tamam. Where are you from?
Almanya, America.
German. Germans.
İyi akşamlar. Something just cleared out of here. I missed it. some people. Okay, now we've got a. Is that an ambulance or a police truck or what? Something's coming from the scene, leaving the scene.
AFAD.
More Russian, I'm hearing. Mr. WF chairman is saying the bomb disposal unit. I don't know if you looked that up or what.
Polis.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, that's what I figured you were referring to. Heavy police presence, looks like, from a whole array of agencies or units.
Ne çekiyorsun? Kime ne gösteriyorsun?
Uh,
Kapat.
uh,
Kapat.
par-